Alrighty, hello everyone, happy Friday. Meteorologist Amanda Hawley here, kind of taking a look at the latest river levels that we've got that have just coming in, and the latest river forecasts as well. We do have some rivers cresting this morning. That means they're kind of topping out, and then they'll start to go back down, and then others are continuing to rise. We're going to be dealing with this for quite some time still. Some rivers aren't expected to crest. That means top out, so those would be continuing to rise until they crest, and not until next week. So I know a lot of you are curious about when all of this is going to happen. And, you know, if your home could possibly be impacted, going to go over the forecasts first. I'll go through them one by one, the 6 of them that we have, the forecasts for the ones that we have, and then I'm going to go on and show you guys a couple websites that you guys can go to and check them out yourselves. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So this is the Lumber River in Lumberton, and I can move my little head over so we can talk about, you can see the whole thing. So the Lumber River in Lumberton is already above major stage. We know that. It's going to continue to rise through Sunday. That is when the river will crest, and then that's when the river will start to come down. Not until it tops out will it start to come down. So we are going to see the river possibly rise about 3 more feet compared to where it is now. So it's Friday, and we're talking about 2-3 days from now. This would be Sunday. So Hurricane Matthew's record, that Matthew set the record a couple years ago, and we're expecting it to get to that level again by Sunday. Our next river that we're going to is the Great Pee Dee River, and it is cresting right now. It is cresting this morning. It is going to start to come down. We're going to see not a huge drop in river levels between now and tomorrow morning, but it is going to start to come down, and then by the beginning of next week we're going to see it drop below that major stage. So that will be good in terms of the Great Pee Dee River. Matthew's record Matthew's level that we got to a couple years ago is 26 feet. So we're obviously above that, but it's not quite to the record that the 1945 hurricane set. This is the Waccamaw River in Conway. This is at Conway. We only have a forecast for Conway. We have levels for the other places, but this is kind of when we expect these areas to crest here. But right now, obviously, it's above that major stage, and we're not expecting it. We expect it to keep going up through Tuesday to well above what it got to during Matthew. In the Longs area, it could crest Saturday into Sunday. In Conway, not until Tuesday or Wednesday, so 5 or 6 days from now. In Bucksport, not until next Thursday or Friday. And then in the Intercoastal Waterway in Socastee, not until next Friday. So the Waccamaw obviously is going to be one of the later ones as everything continues to drain into it, and all the water continues to flow towards the Grand Strand and through the Waccamaw here. So that's obviously something that we're going to keep watching. That's going to be our later one that will crest not until the middle and end of next week. Now the Little Pee Dee, that is also cresting this morning. We're seeing it top out right around the record, which was set by Hurricane Matthew just a couple years ago, and that level is going to continue to decrease into Sunday, but it's really not. It's only going to come down a couple feet by Sunday, and then it'll continue to come down through the middle of next week. But that's going to be a slower one to come down. As you can see, it's still in the major stage by Tuesday. So it's still going to stay high, even though we've seen it crest. It is just going to drop. It's going to start slowly dropping. That's the Little Pee Dee. This is the Black Creek in Quinby. We are expecting this one to get above the moderate flood stage, but not above the major flood stage. So the Black Creek is not expected to get to the levels that Matthew I'm sorry, excuse me, it already crested. It already crested at 17 feet, and it is going to go back up. I was reading that wrong, excuse me. But this is the Black Creek in Quinby, and it did crest. It's going to come back down, and it has crested and it has come back down, but it is now going to go back up above that moderate stage. So it's going to crest again, and then we'll start to see that come down. And then we have the Lynch's River. This one is going to have to be watched really closely as well. I know there's some evacuations going on in Florence because of the Lynch's River in Effingham. Again, we have a forecast for Effingham. That's where this one is for. It has come up quite a few feet already today, but it is expected to go up significantly between Saturday and Sunday. We're going to see it possibly rise 5 or 6 feet through Sunday, maybe getting to that major stage, right at that major stage. But again, these are forecasts. We only get 2 forecasts from the National Weather Service a day. It's very hard to forecast these rivers because we don't have many river gauges in our area, so these are ever changing. But that's kind of the latest forecast as of Friday morning. And I'm just looking at some of your comments here. I am watching your comments come in on the Facebook Live. It's very difficult to talk about each one for very long, just because this is the information that honestly that we have, that we can give you guys. Now I can go over to this. I'm going to show you guys a couple places that you guys can go and look at. A couple people are asking you about longs and about road closures and about certain rivers. We've got all of this information on our website. Yesterday, I posted on my Facebook page a couple links that are really helpful. If you scroll down, there's a post here, and there's the river forecasts that I just showed you. We're keeping that article updated. You can look at the flood approximations for your house, and then you can also, there's links to download our app, and that's where our traffic is at as well. And this is also on the WBTW website. So if you go to WBTW.com, there's this red banner up here, and it's got all 3 links as well. So the road conditions in South Carolina, you can look at what roads are closed, and exactly it stays up to date because they're changing so fast. I've been doing traffic all morning, and we get road closures like no tomorrow, and some have actually opened up out in the Pee Dee. 301 north of Lotta, that one opened up this morning in both directions. But Dillon, north of Dillon on 301, that remains closed. So all of these are continuing to change. The biggest one that is really hard to keep track of is Conway, 501 Business and 501 Bypass. As of this morning, just a couple of hours ago, we were looking at 501 Bypass, 1 lane being open, and then 501 Business was open. And all traffic was really being directed through downtown Conway. That was as of a couple hours ago. It is, again, it's very hard to keep track of all the roads that are changing. The newest road changes was 22 last night. They closed it last night between 9:05 and 90. That remains closed, and we actually posted a picture, I think, on our Facebook page of water moving over 22 in that area. So that was a good idea to close that road there. But you can click on the banner, and it'll take you to the website, and you can use the SCDOT map, and that'll tell you what roads are closed. You can go to county, you can go to road name, and you can kind of maneuver the website in that way. If you are looking for the flood levels and wondering about your house, or anywhere across South Carolina to see if it could possibly flood, SCDNR released this interactive map of the worst case scenario of a flood level. So again, that's in the banner, and you just have to click that banner, and there's a link here, and it takes you to this website. And there's a disclaimer because it's not real-time flooding conditions. It's a potential approximate height of the water above the ground. So you have to keep that in mind. It's a forecast, but it's very helpful. You can zoom in. You can, you know, go to street level. So let's see. This is 501. This is 17 here, and say you live off of Socastee Boulevard. Say you're near Socastee and 544. We'll go with that one. The river is just behind you. So if you zoom in too far, the levels do go away. So if that happens, you just have to zoom back out just a little bit. But you can see the colors on here are the possible depth that the water could get to as the river rises. So this light yellow color here, you come over to the legend, you look, and it could be 0 to 2 feet above ground level in this area. So if you live right here on 544 and Socastee Boulevard, you could be looking at 0 to 2 feet of water when this river crests. So this is kind of behind the Palmetto Point area. Looks like I did see a couple people asking about Palmetto Point. There is this creek that runs through Palmetto Point, and that one could come up, but it looks like it'll fill this marshy area and the bridge. So again, this is for South Carolina. A couple people asking about Georgetown. You guys are included in this map, and you can certainly go and look as well. This also goes for the Pee Dee. So this is Florence, and you can see all of the colors here. That's the areas where we expect and how high we expect the water levels to get. So it's really interactive. Zoom into the exact area that you are interested in. And if you're purely looking for the river forecasts, again, that's in this red banner. You can come over here to the little arrow, and the third one is the article that we're keeping updated with the forecast and when we're expecting these to crest. So we have the latest video forecast on here for you that explains the forecast, and then the graphics are on here too, so you can look at them for as long as you want. And again, they are the latest forecast that we have on when we expect these to crest, and the forecast heading into this weekend and into next week. So yes, a lot of people asking about what website is this, what web page is this. They are all, the links are all on the WBTW.com website at the very top in the red banner. There are three articles linked in there, and that is exactly where you will find all of the things that I just went over. Traffic conditions, you can look at flood levels and the approximation of how high the waters will get, and you can look at the river forecasts. So yes, thank you for a couple people that are asking or answering those questions about where I'm talking about. That's kind of all I had to go over with you guys. Again, the links are all on the website. I've also posted them on my Facebook page for you, and the links to the app, our app as well, to look at traffic conditions. Otherwise, continue preparing for, again, the possibility of these rivers continuing to crest. We're not expecting a whole lot of rain over the next 5 or 6 days, so that's good. We're not going to add to the problem, really. We can talk about the tropics a little bit. I know this is a river forecast here, but a lot of people kind of chit-chatting about the possibility of Florence coming back for round 2. That is not true. That we are watching for the possibility of development off the east coast, off of our coastline. There is the chance, but it's yellow. You can see it's a very low chance right now of any development at all. If it were to develop, it would not be named Florence. It is something. It's a little spin-off of the remnants of Florence, but it's not the main circulation of Florence, so it would not be named Florence. If it develops at all, which again, it's a very low chance that it would likely be very, very weak system, Most models keep it offshore. Most models don't even develop it, really. They may develop it here sitting offshore and then weaken it out again as it kind of loops around. The good news is we have a cold front coming in, and it will likely sweep it out to sea. I'm not worried about this thing that everyone keeps calling Florence round 2. That's not, it's really not what it is. If anything, it would just likely increase our rain chances a little bit for the middle of next week, middle to end of next week. But again, watching that, we do have other areas in the tropics that we're watching. We've got this area, which is also sort of semi the remnants of Florence. They kind of split off into two, and that has a high chance of developing. But will that affect us? Probably not. This area down here off of the Lesser Antilles has a low chance of developing over the next 5 days. We're going to watch this one, and we're also going to watch this one very closely coming off the coast of Africa here. This one has a pretty good chance of developing, and we'll be watching this over the next week, 10 days. But otherwise right now, yes, the tropics could become active again. No named storms are in the Atlantic, Caribbean, or Gulf of Mexico right now, and there is no immediate threat to the Carolinas. So regardless, if you see those clickbait titles that say Florence is coming back for round 2, it's not true. If this thing even develops, it would likely be very weak, and it may just stay offshore, honestly. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We're still in the peak of hurricane season, so it's still important for us to watch, but that's far out. Our main concern right now is the river levels, and those cresting river levels. So we're going to keep updating you guys. We'll have another forecast for you tonight at 4 p.m. Facebook Live, and then one again at 8 p.m. But keep in mind, we're not getting these forecasts that many times a day. We get them 2 times a day, and we'll update you when we get them. We keep those articles updated on our website, but I don't expect a whole lot of changes between now and when these rivers continue to crest. So keep preparing. I know a lot of people are doing the sandbags and stuff going on right now in Socastee. That's good. Otherwise, we'll keep you updated as best we can. Unfortunately, we don't produce these forecasts. They come from the National Weather Service. So we're not hydrologists. It's very hard for us to predict what these rivers are going to do. Yeah, follow those links, again, that are on the WBTW website. And otherwise, we'll let you go. Have a great Friday. If you're not worried about the rivers, it's going to be a nice weekend. If you are, it is going to be a nice weekend to do those preparations. So we'll see you next time. We'll be on at News 13 at noon here, of course 5:30, and 6. And Frank will be back with the Facebook Live at 4. Until then, have a great day, guys.